Yes, so my name is Zach Fitz-Walter. Good afternoon, everyone. I am one of the other Australians from the Grid Lab at the Queensland University of Technology, flown all the way over here to present to you here at Kai Play, which is exciting, except it's sad because Kai Play is nearly over. But that's okay. So today I'm going to be talking about three things. So the first is, what is gamification? We're going to quickly touch upon the concept of gamification and some research in the area. Then I'm going to talk specifically about how we used gamification at university, specifically for university orientation, to try and engage students with orientation activities. And finally, I'll discuss briefly the results of a field study that we ran to evaluate this gamified application. Okay, let's talk first about what gamification is. So for this study, we prescribed to the definition of the use of game design elements in non-game contexts. And the idea behind this is that if video games can create such engaging experiences, then other systems could potentially adopt similar design techniques to engage users as well. These days, we're seeing more and more non-game applications and software integrating game elements, often in an attempt to further engage and motivate users. Now, it has been quite common for gamification implementations in both industry and research to use competitive and reward-based game elements, such as points, badges, and leaderboards, or points achievements and leaderboards, I should say. These elements have been described as the industry blueprint for gamification, and are often used as they can be relatively easy and cheap to implement on top of existing systems such as websites and mobile applications. However, the use of these game elements has been criticized as focusing on rewards and not representing the intrinsically motivating aspects of games. Research regarding the use of this type of gamification has been mixed. Now, while some research results indicate that these elements can be used to influence user behavior in different contexts, other studies have shown that this engagement can be short-lived, the engagement may not happen at all, or the use of game elements may even negatively affect the experience, even also usability. Users have also reacted differently to gamification in particular studies. Some like it, others don't, and some just don't care. So these mixed results, combined with the continued use of these game elements in industry implementations, indicate that further research is needed to investigate the use of gamification in different contexts. Thus, we looked at gamification in a university setting, focusing in particular on these industry kind of standard gamification elements, just to investigate the effect on behavior change and user experience a little further. So let me discuss quickly what university orientation is. University orientation is for new students who attend university. It is an event which aids in the transition from school to a university environment, while also introduces them to the university campus, people, and services. Now, orientation at QUT, where I'm from, is a week-long event that is held before the start of university and involves a number of activities, such as campus and library tours for new students, faculty introductions, course overviews, and social events, amongst many others as well. So we undertook some preliminary research. We interviewed a staff engagement team, and we also ran workshops with the staff engagement team, or the orientation engagement team, and we looked at previous questionnaires that had studied the student experience of orientation. And from that, we found three areas that needed to be improved, or could be improved. First of all was participation. So that was encouraging students to actually attend the event itself and the scheduled events. The second was social networking, so encouraging students to meet new people and make friends. And the third was to encourage students to explore the campus and services available. Also at the time, QUT used this, which was a paper-based event planner. And from a usability point of view, it wasn't great. So you had to print it out, it could possibly be lost as well, and it couldn't be updated easily. So we saw an opportunity to use mobile technology in order to aid this particular usability problem, and also to look at how we could use gamification in this area. We were interested in particular looking at achievements as well. So just looking at the effect of achievements on trying to engage students to undertake orientation tasks. So we began by taking this paper-based event planner, and through an iterative design process, it was turned into a mobile application. So this application allowed new students to see their personal event orientation event information. It had a friend list, so they could add new friends that they met. and also it provided a campus map, which showed them the campus, the different locations on campus, and how they could get around. Okay, we then designed some achievements for this system. And to design these achievements, a process was used that I first of all identified the goals for the gamification. It then explored various mobile sensing possibilities for these goals. And then these goals and sensing combined were used to design achievements. So let's talk about the goals first. These were identified earlier as being related to exploring the campus, participating in the event, and also encouraging social networking. So that was drawn out of the preliminary research. Now, more specific goals were identified with the engagement team. So each of these goals, these kind of higher level goals, were then broken down into more measurable activities. So, for example, if we take the goal of encouraging exploration, the specific activity of encouraging students to find the library was identified, finding IT help desk, because that's always important, and learning things like the security phone number and locating health services, amongst others. We then looked at available sensing capabilities. So we targeted, or basically we used the iPhone as a system to develop this application for. And using this, we were able to sense a number of different contexts. So we could sense physical contexts, such as location. So we could use GPS sensor to determine the location of the student on campus. We could use the camera to get QR code input as well as barcode. Students could enter text, numbers, letters, etc. We could find also, with a number of virtual sensors, things like the number of events that they had attended, the number of friends they had added to their application, and also student information about them. So, with our powers combined, we then used these to sense different activities. So, for example, if we wanted to know when they had checked into a scheduled orientation event, we could use location data, so GPS data, combine that with the internal clock of the phone, and also the event schedule information of the student themselves. And we also placed a number of QR codes around campus at specific locations that students could kind of find. It was a little bit like a scavenger hunt. Okay, then we designed some game elements. So achievements were the primary game design element used in our system to challenge and reward students for completing orientation activities. An achievement is basically a reward given for completing an activity. So a review of achievement systems from two popular game networks was undertaken, so Xbox Live achievements and Steam achievements, as well as two popular gamified systems at the time. So we looked at the Giant Bomb website and also Foursquare, which had achievements in it at the time. From these results, an anatomy of an achievement was defined, as well as categorizations and different types of achievements as well. So using these findings, we then created challenges by picking an orientation goal, choosing a specific activity that could be identified, and then created a challenge based on that. So for example, if we look at encouraging exploration of the campus as the main goal, or one of the larger goals, a smaller activity was to, for example, visit the library. Therefore, the challenge was to find the library and scan a QR code located there. So we derived these challenges from these particular activities and goals. 20 achievements were then created based on the goals. Clues, images, and unlock text were made for each achievement, and these were then organized into different sets. You could see that's what happened when a student unlocked an achievement, and they also had a profile page there as well with detailed information about the achievements. Right, so we ran a field study. We had a number of hypotheses and one research question, and these included looking at whether the gamified app would lead to a more positive user experience, whether the gamified app would lead to more perceived motivation, and whether a gamified app would encourage behavior change at orientation. And then we had a research question was whether the addition of game elements was well received by students. The procedure involved recruiting students online, and then we met with them at university orientation. We gave them then either a gamified version of the application or a non-gamified version, so a control application. Participants then used that for the day, and they came back and returned to the end of the day, basically to the researcher, and provided some information on their usage. So in terms of measures, usage data was captured on the phone automatically during the field study, and a questionnaire was then administered to participants at the end of the field study. The questionnaire was designed using or informed by questionnaires used in similar studies, and to measure user experience, a 4-item Likert scale was developed. To measure perceived motivation, a 9-item Likert scale was developed. 5-point like-it type questions were used to measure the usefulness of specific application features, and we also looked for short answer questions to kind of verify or support the quantitative findings as well. We also looked at recording subjective gamification experience. So the application also captured usage data, which included the number of events that a student checked into using the phone, the number of friends that they added to the friend list, and the total number of achievements completed. In terms of the results, we had 46 students that were recruited. They were all first-year students, new to university, and from a range of faculties. We had 26 participants who used the gamified version and 20 who used the control. In terms of user experience results, there was no difference between the two applications. However, there were some aspects of the app or some features of the application that people using the gamified application found more useful. The first one was the ability to add friends by bumping phones together, and the second was the map feature was found to be more useful. The usefulness of the check-in feature, that was checking into events, was not significantly different between the groups either. Now, in terms of motivation and behavior change, there was no significant difference between the median perceived motivation scores, but there were significantly more check-ins that occurred by participants using the gamified version, and there were significantly more friends added. However, we didn't capture all usage data from the devices due to technical issues, but we still undertook a comparison. Now, in terms of gamification experience, the majority of participants reported that the achievement system was fun to use and that they had short answer responses which kind of confirmed findings in terms of they found it fun to use. So they said, you know, the achievements were such a fantastic twist, were genuinely fun, great for killing time productively, etc. In terms of the number of achievements completed, we managed to capture data from 24 participants. And on average, they completed about 13 achievements during the day. One participant did manage to complete all 20. However, some cheated as well. And this was due to a technical issue that we found out later, due to the GPS not being that accurate. And so there were only 2 people, or 2 or 3 students, who admitted to cheating. Okay, so let's run through some discussion quickly and talk about some of the more interesting findings. So it didn't affect the overall user experience adding game elements. It didn't negatively affect it, didn't positively affect it. There was just no change. Results do suggest that some features of the application were considered to be more useful, which was an interesting finding. And we can basically kind of suggest maybe that these features helped participants to complete certain achievements, and that's maybe why they found it more useful. In terms of subjective motivation, there was no difference in terms of reported subjective motivation, but the results do suggest that those who used the gamified version tried some features of the application more than other groups. So it did kind of motivate them to try some of the features such as checking in and adding friends. But what was interesting was it was only until these achievements were completed. Once the achievements were completed, they stopped using that feature. So it seemed to be more extrinsic motivation than anything else. The majority of participants who used the gamified application reported that it was overall good, the experience itself. However, cheating did occur, which has the potential to negatively affect the experience for players. There were, of course, some limitations to the study. We had a small sample size. The the novelty of the applications as well may have influenced the results, and a field study approach does make it hard to pinpoint the effect. So in terms of further research, it would be great to replicate these findings with a larger sample size and to explore these questions over a longer time frame, which we have the possibility to do because it's now part of the official QUT application. So, top 3 takeaways. The first is that achievements are a popular and easy way to gamify an application, and results suggest that in this particular context and application, they did not affect the user experience and may encourage the use of some functions. However, they also may lead to extrinsically motivated users, and cheating may also occur. Great, that's it. Look at that. Woo, achievement unlocked. Completed a Kai Play presentation. Excellent. So those are my details there. Nope, they're not. I skipped that. Those are my details there. That's my email. I have a website, weekly gamification newsletter, Twitter handle. And it's not my website, but if anyone is interested in gamification research, they should definitely check out the Gamification Research Network website. That's it. Thank you.